or using your goals as passwords. That's I haven't heard those ones, so those are cool ideas. I like that.
Yeah, one of the things that I love asking, and we're to it now, is how has your internet business impacted your life? This is one of my favorite questions right here.
Well, I don't have to go to the post office anymore. I avoid it like the plague. I get to travel, which is amazing. Literally, my entire business is run out of a laptop bag that's maybe 15 inches long and a few inches wide. So that is one of my absolute favorite things. Because I love what I do, so I don't want to always escape from my business. I don't want to take a vacation from my business. But I do want to take a vacation and bring my business with me, and it's very simple. With Skype, with all the tools I use online, I pack up all my stuff into my little laptop bag, and literally, as long as I can get a signal, I can do business. So that's a huge way it's affected my life. It's affected my life in that I honestly feel that my income depends on not how much work I put into my business, but how creative I get. So I feel like my income potential is exponential depending on how out of the box I think. The more out of the box I think, the more money I make.
Yeah.
So that's a great way to think. It's life-changing.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
Well, and we certainly know, that's the exact same stuff that we love as well. I just keep thinking of last week for us as well. Jay was in Florida, and I was in the middle of a move, and still, whenever we wanted to, we can check up and run the business. And the fact that we can be off doing those things, and money is still coming in every single day. When we sleep, all that kind of stuff is just phenomenal. But that's very cool. I'm glad to see that's happening for you as well.
So you've already given us some really nice tips and mindset insights from your experience. But let's ask you if there are there two other tips for someone who's starting out in this journey as an internet entrepreneur. What would be the top two tips that you'd give to somebody in that position?
The top two tips would be watch what other people are doing, because there are a lot of smart people in the world. So you're not the first one that's come up with whatever idea you have to offer. You just need to watch for a few weeks what other people are doing in your industry and in other industries, and then figure out how you can fit in there and stand out. So if you're a computer company and you look at Dell and Microsoft and Apple, they're some of the best in the world, but there's a way, if you think about it long enough, that you can stand out from them and you can make your brand very different. So my number one tip would be really think about your brand. Like before you even write a business plan, if you write a business plan, focus on the why behind your brand. Like, why are people going to pay you instead of somebody else? And then my second tip would be, it's better to jump in head first in business than it is to sit in the bleachers and do calculations. I would rather go broke trying to start a business than for 20 years have an idea about a business and just kind of put it on the back burner. So the second tip would be, if you're going to be an entrepreneur, you have to leave your comfort zone, a ridiculous amount of times. The amount of times to where I leave my comfort zone now, and it doesn't even feel like I don't even know what my comfort zone is anymore, because I'm always pushing myself out of it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. Growth is a continual part of being an entrepreneur, and growth only happens on the edge of your comfort zone. And so it does become part of the game, but it can be, I think it's a very enjoyable part of the game, because it means there's lots of variety and lots of excitement and lots of new things constantly coming at you. But those are a great couple of tips that you have to share right there. All right, so thank you very much for sharing your experience and your tips. We're going to continue this interview for the members of the Academy. We're going to talk a little bit more about your virtual assistants and some of the things you're doing with them that have allowed you to have this kind of a business that where you just focus on what you do best and what you like most, and the rest is done by them, because you're definitely doing some very cool things there. And we've had an opportunity to work with a couple of your VAs as well. So anybody interested in that, if you're a Academy member, you can find that in the Internet Business Mastery Academy. And if you're interested in getting a risk-free trial of that, you can go to freeaudiogift.com, where we have extended versions of all the interviews that we do here on the show. So anyway, you'll be able to find that inside of the Academy. But on behalf of all the listeners of the podcast, thank you very much, Maren, for sharing your tips with us.
Thanks so much for having me.
It's time for the Internet Business Quick Tip.
All right, this episode's quick tip is actually from one of our listeners. We put a little call out on Twitter and Facebook and said, hey, if any of the listeners have quick tips that they want to share, because we thought, that'd be cool to get the community involved in this just as much, and got a lot of great ideas and tips back. So one of those we want to share with you today. This one comes from Russell Voltz, whose site is helpmysalesteamsucks.com. And he recommended a tool that actually I've used myself and found very handy, and that is the AVS Video Converter. I bought an AVS video package. I think it was about $50, and it came with a converter and a few other things as well. Like they have a tool for ripping stuff off of DVDs. They have a tool for converting videos. They have a tool for, grabbing YouTube videos. I don't know. They got a bunch of different tools that come in this package. But the video converter itself is very handy, and I actually use it for two things all the time. One is we use GoToWebinar a lot for our Platinum group, and that records in a Windows Media file kind of version, but they have their own coding mechanism. And I think anybody who's worked with GoToWebinar knows that it can be a real pain to work with the video that it spits out, and a lot of video converters and players choke on the video. But this is one video converter that, the first thing I do is I have AVS Video Converter convert that over to just a more general AVI format, so that then our editors and Camtasia can work with it. And because sadly it won't import straight into Camtasia doesn't know how to work with this special GoToWebinar Windows Media file that it spits out. So AVS Video Converter is awesome for that. And the other thing is, a lot of our video that we have taken in the past and used on the site, we pull off of our little Canon digital point and shoot. Has great quality just right off this camera, but it comes in kind of big AVI files because it's uncompressed video, I think it's uncompressed video at first. And so what I do is I immediately throw that through AVS to crunch it down to a smaller version, and it's done as good of a job as some really expensive stuff like Sorensen Squeeze, which I'm sure you worked with as an editor probably. Sterling, it's like the industry level video, and it's like $2,000 or something. It's like, well, you can do the kinds of stuff that we need to do for this $50 AVS video converter that you can check out. So to find that, there's a link back in the show notes, or you can also just Google AVS Video Converter, and their website is avs4u.com. That's AVS, the number 4u.com.
Now, if you'd like dozens of other resources such as this one, you can find them in the Internet Business Mastery Academy, along with video tutorials showing you exactly how we use them. To get a 30-day no-risk trial membership to the Internet Business Mastery Academy, visit freeaudiogift.com. That's it for this episode of Internet Business Mastery. Until next time, we wish you ultimate success in your internet business.
You've been listening to the iconoclasts of the 9 to 5 and the purveyors of freedom and fulfillment, Sterling and Jay. Sterling and Jay invite you to discover one of their most popular audio programs ever. The 3 pillars of designing your ultimate internet lifestyle. Visit freeaudiogift.com now and sign up for the free weekly Internet Business Mastery email newsletter. And you'll get instant access to this life-changing audio presentation, pulled directly from the content of the acclaimed Internet Business Mastery Academy membership community. Go now to freeaudiogift.com. Internet Business Mastery. Free your mind.